Classical Economics. Classical economics, established in the late 18th and early 19th centuries by luminary figures like Adam Smith and David Ricardo, is foundational to modern economic thought. This theory champions the virtues of a free market system, where minimal government intervention allows the invisible hand of the market to allocate resources efficiently. Adam Smith's metaphor of the invisible hand suggests that individual self-interest, rather than benevolent intentions, drives economic activity to produce beneficial outcomes for society. At the core of classical economics is the belief that free markets lead to the efficient production and distribution of goods and services. Prices are seen as signals that communicate the scarcity and value of resources, guiding the decisions of consumers and producers. For instance, if a product is scarce and highly desired, its price rises, signaling producers to increase production and thereby aligning the economy's output with consumer preferences. Another significant concept within classical economics is the theory of comparative advantage, introduced by David Ricardo. This theory explains how countries benefit from trade even if one country is less efficient in the production of all goods. By specializing in goods where they have a relative efficiency and trading for others, countries can enhance their overall economic well-being. David Ricardo's labor theory of value, which posits that the value of a good is derived from the amount of labor required to produce it, also plays a crucial role in classical economics. This idea influences how we understand the distribution of economic output among different classes in a capitalist system, primarily benefiting those who own the means of production. Classical economics essentially lays the groundwork for the liberal economic policies that advocate for free trade, open markets, and limited government role in economic affairs, arguing that such an environment fosters innovation and productivity. Keynesian Economics. Developed by John Maynard Keynes in the 1930s, Keynesian economics emerged as a response to the Great Depression, a period marked by unprecedented economic downturn and massive unemployment. Keynes challenged the classical assumption that markets always clear, i.e., supply always creates its own demand, arguing instead that in times of economic downturn, consumer demand needs to be stimulated to achieve full employment and economic stability. Keynesian theory posits that total spending in the economy, or aggregate demand, is the primary driving force of economic activity, especially in the short run. According to Keynes, during a recession, businesses may not invest enough due to pessimistic expectations about future profitability, and consumers may not spend because they fear for their financial futures. This leads to a vicious cycle where reduced spending causes businesses to cut back further on production and employment, deepening the economic slump. To break this cycle, Keynes advocated for active government intervention, primarily through fiscal policy, such as government spending and tax adjustments, to boost demand. For example, during a recession, the government can increase spending on public works, giving people jobs and income, which in turn increases their spending power and overall demand in the economy. Monetary policy also plays a crucial role in Keynesian economics. Lowering interest rates can encourage borrowing and investing, but Keynes famously noted that in severe recessions, there might be a liquidity trap where monetary policy becomes ineffective because people hoard cash instead of spending or investing it. Keynesian economics has profoundly influenced modern economic policies, particularly the use of countercyclical fiscal and monetary policies to stabilize economies over the business cycle. These ideas have been particularly visible in policy responses to economic crises, where governments increase spending or cut taxes to boost demand and mitigate the effects of recessions.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
Monetarism. Monetarism, primarily associated with economist Milton Friedman, emerged in the mid-20th century as a critique of Keynesian economics, particularly its focus on fiscal policy. Monetarists argue that the stability of the money supply is the most crucial factor in ensuring economic stability, positing that excessive increases in the money supply inevitably lead to inflation. According to monetarism, the central role of government in economic management should be to control the growth of the money supply, following a rule-based approach that keeps it steady and predictable. Friedman famously criticized discretionary fiscal policy, government altering spending and taxes based on current economic conditions, for being too slow and potentially leading to timing errors that could exacerbate economic fluctuations rather than smooth them. Monetarists believe that the velocity of money, the rate at which money changes hands, is relatively stable. Therefore, any change in the amount of money in an economy directly affects the nominal value of output. For instance, if the money supply grows faster than real output, prices will rise, leading to inflation. Conversely, if the money supply is too tight, it can lead to deflation and unemployment. One of the key policy implications of monetarism is the use of monetary policy as a tool for economic stabilization. This involves adjusting the interest rates to influence the money supply, aiming for moderate inflation rates that signal a healthy, growing economy without accelerating into hyperinflation. Furthermore, monetarism emphasizes the importance of keeping expectations stable. If people expect that the money supply will grow steadily, they can make more reliable financial and business decisions, which contributes to overall economic stability. This theory has significantly influenced central banks around the world, particularly in their focus on controlling inflation through monetary policy frameworks that target inflation rates explicitly. Supply-side economics. Supply-side economics, which gained prominence during the Reagan administration in the 1980s, represents a shift in focus from aggregate demand to aggregate supply. Proponents of this theory argue that economic growth is most effectively generated by lowering barriers for people to produce, supply, goods and services, such as lowering taxes and reducing regulation. The central tenet of supply-side economics is that lower tax rates boost economic activity enough to at least partially offset the loss in revenue from tax cuts. This idea is often encapsulated in the Laffer curve, a concept popularized by economist Arthur Laffer. The curve suggests that there is an optimal tax rate that maximizes government revenue without discouraging productivity and investment. According to this view, high tax rates can discourage work and investment, leading to lower economic output and sometimes even less tax revenue than would be generated with lower rates. Supply-siders also argue for the importance of capital formation, which is the accumulation of tangible and intangible assets such as factory buildings, equipment, and software. Reducing capital gains taxes, they argue, encourages investment in businesses and leads to job creation and more productive economies. Critics of supply-side economics argue that it disproportionately benefits the wealthy and increases income inequality, as tax cuts are often more beneficial to those with higher incomes. Additionally, evidence on the effectiveness of supply-side economics is mixed, with some arguing that it leads to deficits and greater debt burdens without the promised boost in growth. Despite these controversies, supply-side economics has played a significant role in shaping fiscal policy, particularly in the United States, influencing debates on tax policy and economic growth strategies. It represents a key ideological shift towards favoring market-based solutions and less government intervention in the economy. Marxist Economics. Marxist economics, based on the theories of Karl Marx, offers a profound critique of capitalist systems. It focuses on the dynamics of class conflict between the bourgeoisie, the capital owners, and the proletariat, the workers. Marx argued that the capitalist system is inherently exploitative, as it relies on the labor of workers to generate profits for capitalists, creating an inherent conflict of interest between the two classes. One of the core concepts in Marxist economics is the theory of surplus value, which is the value produced by labor over and above the cost of labor itself, which is appropriated by capitalists as profit. Marx believed that this extraction of surplus value from workers leads to alienation, a condition where workers become estranged from the products of their labor, their own working activity, and their own essence as creative beings. Marx also discussed the inevitable tendency of the rate of profit to fall in capitalist economies. This theory posits that competition among capitalists drives advancements in technology and productivity, increasing what Marx called the organic composition of capital, but paradoxically, this reduces the proportion of labor required per unit of output, which in turn lowers the rate of profit, since surplus value is derived from labor. According to Marx, these contradictions would eventually lead to recurring crises of overproduction and underconsumption, as the working class is unable to buy back the products they produce due to their limited wages. Marx believed that these crises would intensify class conflicts, leading to the potential overthrow of the capitalist system by the proletariat, and the establishment of a socialist state where production is controlled by the workers themselves. Ultimately, Marxist economics is not just an economic theory but also a call for political action, aiming at a revolutionary change towards a classless and stateless society. This perspective has significantly influenced various social and political movements around the world, leading to various forms of socialism and influencing debates on economic inequality, labor rights, and the role of the state in economic life. Neoclassical Economics. Neoclassical economics is a development that evolved from classical economics, emerging prominently in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. This theory is characterized by its focus on how prices and outputs are determined in markets through the interaction of supply and demand. At its heart is the concept of the rational individual, often referred to as Homo economicus, who is assumed to act based on self-interest, striving to maximize utility, satisfaction or benefit, from goods and services, and firms that aim to maximize profits. The foundation of neoclassical economics lies in its three core beliefs: people have rational preferences among outcomes, individuals maximize utility and firms maximize profit, and people act independently on the basis of full and relevant information. According to this viewpoint, the market is an efficient mechanism for allocating resources. Prices adjust to equilibrate the quantity supplied by producers and the quantity demanded by consumers, leading to an optimal distribution of resources in the economy. One of the central tools of neoclassical economics is the concept of marginalism. Marginalism explores how decisions are made on the margin, meaning it considers the impact of small changes in economic variables. For example, a consumer's decision to buy an additional unit of a good depends on the utility derived from the last, or marginal, unit consumed compared to its cost. This marginal analysis extends to production and pricing in firms, where decisions about how much to produce are based on the cost and revenue of producing one more unit. Furthermore, neoclassical economics introduces the idea of perfect competition, where numerous small firms compete against each other with no single firm being able to control the market price. Under perfect competition, economic equilibrium is achieved when supply equals demand, both at the level of individual markets and across the whole economy, leading to what is known as general equilibrium. A significant contribution of neoclassical economics is its use of mathematical models to analyze economic phenomena. This approach has allowed for precise formulations and derivations of economic outcomes, making it highly influential in both academic and policy-making circles. It provides a structured way to predict how changes in economic policy, technology, or other external factors could affect the economy's performance. Despite its widespread acceptance, neoclassical economics has been critiqued for its assumptions about rational behavior and market efficiency, often being seen as overly simplistic or detached from real-world complexities where markets may fail due to reasons like information asymmetry, externalities, or monopoly power. Neoclassical economics continues to be a dominant framework for understanding economic processes, influencing both theoretical developments and practical economic policy formulation. Its emphasis on equilibrium, efficiency, and optimization serves as a powerful tool for analyzing a wide range of economic issues from microeconomic behavior to macroeconomic policy decisions.